What's up guys, this is Jack here, Nerdecrafter, and I have been challenged by Jazza.
Good day mates, this is Jazza, definitely Jazza, and I want to talk to you about my accent. It changed, but that's okay, it's definitely me. I am challenging Jackie, also known as Nerdecrafter. She's really funny, she wears hats, and she cracks me up. And so I'm challenging Jackie, Nerdecrafter, to make her own epic sculpture.
So today what I wanted to do was create an opposite dragon to what Jazza created. For those of you who don't know Jazza, he has this absolutely fantastic art channel that does a lot of different kinds of challenges, and he's pretty entertaining if I say so myself. I'll leave all his links in the description box below as well as in the iCard section if you want to check out the video I'm referring to. Seeing him get into polymer clay got me so pumped. I am just really pumped. Even though he did challenge me, I figured it would be perfect for me to do the opposite dragon of what he made. He did a fire type dragon guarding treasure. Now imagine what the opposite of that is. This week's shout out goes to Mia Count. If you want a shout out in my next video, don't forget the hashtag Nerdification Squad in the comment section below within the first 45 minutes of a video's release, or hashtag Nerdecrafter on Instagram with any of your creations. With the power of the sword, I got this.
Since Jazza made a fire dragon, the opposite element to that is earth, so I decided to go with a rock type dragon. Before we continue, let's start making our base with aluminum foil, or you guys like to call it aluminum foil, and some clay. And of course, liquid Sculpey to make them all stick together.
Now that our earthy terrain is done, we have a little bit of shading. I know it's subtle, but it does bring everything together. At least that's what I tell myself. Now what we're going to do is the armature. I want to create my earthy dragon kind of in this shape here. So I want it to be pretty bulky and heavy looking. But I am not a huge fan of sculpting wire just because it's, hang on, let me get it. Because it's just too flimsy. So if I wanted to make bulkier pieces, look how easily this bends. It's just way too flimsy for my liking. This one, it's pretty resistant. So if you want to make your shapes, you definitely just have to bend a little harder. But the good thing is that you know it'll hold its shape. I want it to be guarding the opposite of treasure. And you guys will see what it is.
Some of you did ask me what's the best way to get pieces of wires to stick together, and my answer to that is actually liquid Sculpey and another piece of clay, and then you bake those pieces in the oven. It actually becomes a solid piece, and you can move the limbs as you want it after it's baked and fully cooled down. Remember how I said sculpting wire was too flimsy for me? Well, it seems like my hands were too flimsy for the other wires, so for the front ones I ended up using the sculpting wire because, you know, I changed my mind. Now it's time to bulk it up with aluminum foil and clay. And if you don't know where to start, just start, because I didn't know exactly where to go either. And as soon as you start bulking the pieces together, you start to get this shape that's coming together, and then, you know, together. That's, I keep saying together. But as soon as you start, you're actually going to see that it is actually coming to life.
I definitely totally miscalculated where the hind legs should go, so I haven't finished polishing the front part yet, but these are just way too forward. So what I'm going to do is cut them as close as possible. That's what happens when you don't know anatomy. You just kind of gotta go with the flow. I'm gonna cut it, bring it back, and see if I can get some wires in the back part. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to focus on the integrity of the clay itself.
There were definitely quite a few challenges when making this dragon because I had a bit of an identity crisis making it. At first I wanted it to have limbs and legs, as you can see with the front paw, but then I was like, this is not rocky enough. So I decided to make the limbs later on much more boulder-like without actual fingers and limbs. So I really wanted it to have this feeling of a rock and smoother edges. So that's why you'll see that later on I did change my mind, and I also changed my mind on the color because I found that the marble was too marbly, and so I gave it another top part of clay, which ended up being more subtle in its marbling of a boulder effect. If you know that I like dragons, you know that I have a thing for dragons with underbites. So I really wanted to make mine with this underbite. And I realized that maybe some of my inspiration may have come from Full Metal Alchemists. But hey, inspiration comes from everywhere, right? One of my favorite parts about this dragon is the back part where we have pieces of boulder sticking forward towards the dragon's head instead of backwards, which is kind of cliche. And then I inserted quartz, I guess, gems in there because I thought that would be very earth-like, you know, like stalactites and stalagmite things.
Okay, now I haven't finished my stone dragon yet, but I want to put it on the environment first, and then it'll make it easier for me to gauge what details I can add. I'm gonna put it right here. Now I can move the limbs around and see exactly how I want it. It's looking so cool. I'm looking at you, Jazza.
I had the same cutter that Jazza had, and I really liked the technique that he used. I'm like, let me try it on the tail because why not? Before some of you go out on a limb and say,
Jazza's better than you,
the answer is, I am aware. I'm very aware of that. Remember, Jazza is an artist. I just happen to be someone who has clay. I never claimed to be a sculptor or an artist. So I'm totally okay with my current level, and I know that I'm just going to improve from here on. So this challenge is just something absolutely friendly, and I really admire the skills that Jazza has. I know that with time, I'll definitely get better. For the wings, I was so happy that I had Pearlex powders that matched the kind of glow that were on the gems. Well, crystals if you want to be, you know, technical. So depending on the angle you see the wings, they do change color. My opposite for coin treasure was actually not garbage. I was thinking of garbage at first, but I actually really wanted to make knowledge. Okay, that liquid Sculpey was not supposed to be that liquidy, so let's wipe it off and shake the bottle and do it again.
Holy carp. I love it. I'm in absolute love. But now we have to pray to the baking gods. I'm going to be putting foil paper in any crevice or under anything that might seem fragile, except for the heart because we can't get in there. I'm going to be baking it for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then I'm going to put a bit of a black wash in the mouth to make it stand out a little more. It should be done. all done. Let me know in the iCard section, do you think Jazza and I took on this challenge fairly, or none of us did? We're either both winners or nobody wins. End of story. I keep making my own rules up. I had so much fun putting this critter together. I really wish if I could redo this right now, I would have the wings spread a little further from the body. But I think what I was pretty scared of is if the wings would fall, because I did it all in one bake. I haven't ever done this before. The only thing I would usually do is save my progress by baking it constantly. But doing it all in one bake got me pretty anxious. What do you think is written in these scrolls? Could it be magic spells, wisdom of the ages, or secrets to something? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Until then, I will see you in the next video.